The more anime we watch, the greater our ability to notice details. From completely static scenes to unnatural movements. Sometimes we even bring out our inner critic. It's not like we have to settle for something that makes you puke like the last season of Nanatsu no Taizai. But the truth is that we know little about the path that an immense group of poorly paid people must follow to obtain an animated episode of just 24 minutes. That is why in this video we will give you a brief summary of the steps to follow to produce the most basic and simple school anime. Of course, remember that this will not be the case in absolutely all animes, so if you have any extra information, do not forget to leave it in the comment box. For practical purposes, we will divide this video into 3 main points. This first part begins with the planning of the project, which arises when the producer, who agrees with other companies and sponsors, analyzes the marketing possibilities and studies the feasibility of the project. Money can do anything. And it is sought not only to be economically profitable, but to generate considerable profits. If an idea does not pass through this filter, it is practically impossible for it to come to light. But how much money are we talking about? Some internet intellectuals estimate that the cost of a single episode can be around $460,000, while the total of 12 episodes can reach $5 million approximately. However, other sources assure that the budget is much lower, being about $2 million for the 12 episodes that constitute a season. Although of course, this depends on many factors. We well know that a single scene of Kimetsu no Yaiba surely cost more than all Nanatsu no Taizai. And no, we will not stop repeating it. In itself, this is the moment when ideas are organized and a path that can go in 2 directions begins. The first, to base the anime on an original work. While the second option would be to use works already made, in other words adapt novels, mangas or games, which gives them some security when adapting a well-directed story and whose fan base is already established. But of course that does not make it the easy way, since the whole team must do their best to ensure that the adaptation is not only faithful, but that it can even overcome and improve aspects of the original story. A whole study must be done both to the artistic aspects, as well as to determine the number of episodes necessary. Although it seems a basic part, this is everything. Since investors will take the risk of financing a project only if they are sure that their investment will be recovered successfully. This not only determines that a new anime is started, but it is the reason why many times a second season is not produced for a series. For example, in an interview with Kazuya Matsumoto, the producer in Studio Trigger confirmed that a 12-episode anime would cost around $5.5 million. This with a team of between 200 and 300 professionals, and with this budget an anime would need to receive an income of at least $16.5 million to begin to be considered a success. Once the budget is established, the most important roles are determined. The general director, who is in charge of setting the work, managing the schedule, budgeting, maintaining the quality of the anime, and making the final decisions. The animation director who properly manages this process and its correction, and the episode director, who is supervised by the general director. This one structures and composes the way the story will appear on screen through the storyboard derived from the first scripts. As mentioned, it is also common for the script to be prepared by the general director. This means that what is shown in the episode is his own vision of the story. However, they can also be made by different artists to lighten the process. This brings us to the storyboards, which are sometimes considered the true beginning of the production of an animation. These usually have at least 300 drawings and collect the necessary graphic information such as the camera movements, characters on the scene, the basic dialogues of the characters, as well as the duration of each shot or scene. One aspect that should always be taken into account, and that is the basis of storyboards, is that an anime generally has limited animation. This means that some elements that require a high level of mobility such as the fight scenes, chases, or dances are simplified, sometimes not so subtly. Which leads to the number of drawings available for an episode being somewhat low compared to other types of animations. From these scripts, the definitive ones of each episode can be created. Of course, before this, all are reviewed by the general director, the producers and by the original author. The next step marks the beginning of the artistic production, and it is the design of the layouts. A kind of planes, where the characters usually appear colored with lines in warm tones and the backgrounds in cold tones to be able to differentiate them. Of course the colors may vary, but the important thing is that these contrasts very well with each other. The cuts are made the same size as the animation paper, and these include details such as the placement of the characters, descriptions of the movement of the camera, among others. These are the ones that, once approved by the director, are duplicated to be sent to the fund department and the main animators respectively. The latter are generally assigned a number of planes or keyframes, that is, those that mark the beginning and end of a movement or change of expression. Once these are approved, to ensure that the movement is fluid, it is necessary to complete it within between frames, which frequently, although not in all cases, are commissioned to a study in another country, since the combination of both is what gives rise to animation. Of course, these processes are supervised by the animation director together with the episode director. Remember that it is a large number of people making the various drawings, so it is to be expected that they are not all 100% the same. For this reason, it is generally the responsibility of the episode director to ensure that a certain coherence is maintained in the drawings and movement, and to make any corrections so that they are faithful to the preliminary molds. Subsequently, digitization or scanning is carried out to be colored in the computer using the color models that were previously selected by the painting staff and that are based on the designs of the characters, filling in the areas marked by the colorists. Some directors even describe this part as if they were using a coloring book. Finally, the sequences are delivered to the cinematographic team for editing and inclusion of special effects. Once all the frames are edited and all the scenes are formed, the episode goes through post-production, which covers sound editing, music, voice recording,
そうだ。僕がキラだ。
and distribution. After the recording of the voices and the sound effects and the cleaning of possible noises, the final editing of the video is carried out, which will be reviewed again by the different directors until the final result is achieved. All this takes us to the final step, its distribution that constitutes everything that it must go through until it reaches the comfort of our screens, and of course it is fervently criticized by us. What do you think? Did any of the steps surprise you? If it did, do not forget to like the video, give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe to continue supporting this channel, and as always, thanks for watching.